Let's get festive. So traditionally I don't really decorate my house that much for Christmas, but I now have 3 children. They're also part of the reason I don't decorate that much, because the toddler probably going to be a liability with a Christmas tree, so we're doing a Christmas teepee this year. Before I had like young children, I had cats, and they can be an absolute disaster for Christmas decorations. So we haven't typically gone too overboard with Christmas decorating, but we're probably going to try and add a few more things in this year. Starting off, I thought I'd do my easier project first. I want to make some Christmas placemats. These are going to be for my mum because we don't really use our dining table in our house. It's for decoration in my sewing space. That being said, I did want to try my hand at making some placemats, and mum will use them. So we're doing them for her. I'm not following any sort of pattern or tutorial. I am literally sewing this off vibes. So fingers crossed it works. I'm gonna see how they turn out. Also, I really need to stop saying filler words because the amount of these that I have to cut out of editing is ridiculous. If you're new here, welcome. If you're not new, welcome back, friends. My name, I did it again. If you're new here, welcome. If you're not new here, welcome back. My name is Alyssa. I sew things for dopamine. I'm a chaos goblin. You know the drill from last video. Basically, if you want a sewing buddy, I'm happy to put my hand up and help out. Grab a coffee, enjoy, and we're gonna see if I can pull together some decent placemats by the end of this video. It's a mystery, we'll find out together. Let's go. I really need to invest in an ironing board. If you can see any mess behind me, no you can't. Because it's either craft or clean. I don't get the option to do both. So we're gonna ignore any mess you see because I have 3 children. So it doesn't exist. At least that's how I do it. We don't see it. Blinders on. All right, guys. We're working with the lighting that we have, and the lighting that we have is terrible. So I apologize in advance. I am going to fold this so that it is easier to cut the lengths that I want. I want to make sure we're not pulling. So I feel like I should be able to get 2 placemats out of each strip. I am going to give myself some wiggle room, so if I need to trim anything, I can. And I feel like I might just cut all of my strips in one hit and see how many placemats we get. If we don't quite get the full 6, it is what it is. I mean, technically my mum has 8, but if I can get 6, I'll be happy, I should say. 13 by 19 to give myself some wiggle room. I feel like that's roughly what my parents' dining table has at the moment. Let's go 13 inches. First, what I'm going to do is tidy up this edge because it is not completely straight. So I'm just going to pop some weights down to hold my fabric in place. And then I'm going to take an inch off here. And I use a ruler because I cannot be trusted to rotary cut in a straight line. Probably took off a little bit more fabric than I needed to, but whatever. Now what I want to do is cut a strip that is 13 inches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. That is 1. I'm going to pop that there, and then I'm going to wiggle my fabric up. Line that edge up. Make sure we're all folded all the way down. Okay, so line that up there, along that edge, and along that edge. And now I'm going to pop my weight back down, and we're going to cut another 13-inch strip. So now we have batting, which stitch is gonna be a mission. I'm not too concerned with getting it like super straight because I'm literally gonna put, like I would like it to be straight-ish. But my plan is to just put the strip over and then quilt it and then trim everything down to size once I've done the quilting. That is straight enough. Let's give myself 14 inches, I think. What I'm gonna do to start with, grab one of my big pieces and just put it on top so that I can roughly cut the length I need off this batting. And then I will end up pinning it down, drawing my stitch lines across the top because I cannot stitch in a straight line without a guide to save my life. And I'm making sure I give myself extra room. That will get pinned together. And then we have another one. Is that better? Yeah, I mean, it's still terrible lighting, but it is what it is. It is Melbourne, it is grey, it is raining so much and the sun is not out. So we work with what we have, and what we have is not a lot. I have cut my fabrics, I've cut my quilting, my batting I should say. I am going to make a cup of coffee so that my energy levels do not die halfway through this. And I guess I'll meet you back here. It's an exciting realization when I discover that I can plug my mic directly into my laptop while I'm editing to do my voiceovers, and that makes my life so much easier. But what I'm doing here is I'm drawing my lines on my fabric so that I can quilt, and I'm doing just a couple of different variations to test it out. I did some vertical, oh my gosh, vertical lines. I did some diagonals, and then I also did like a crisscross pattern just to test out what I actually like the best, just to see how we go. So that's what I'm doing here. Do not judge me for the way that I wind my bobbin. Every time I actually thread it the way the machine says to, it never works. So I just hold it. Little tip, if you are new like me to quilting, same as with top stitching, you want to increase your stitch length because the default stitch length on a sewing machine is too small and it looks like crap. So increase, I like to do about 3.5 mil, and I find that looks lovely, if I do say so myself. And then what I'm going to do is just put a few pins in this just to kind of hold it in place a little bit as we get started. You don't want to like have too many. Ow, stabbed myself. All right, let's follow these lines and see how they turn out. So we have horizontal, diagonal, or diamond shaped. And if I'm perfectly honest, I like the diamonds, which is a little bit depressing because that means it's going to be a lot of work to quilt this. I need your opinion.
Yeah.
Diagonal or diamond?
Oh, alright, this is hard.
What's your opinion?
Diagonal. I think we should go with diagonal.
You don't like the diamond?
I mean, they both look really good, but I really like the diagonal.
You like less quilting?
Yeah.
So that would be over the entire placemat?
Yeah.
That one?
Yeah.
Okay. The 9-year-old says diagonal. Do I listen to the 9-year-old? So the 9-year-old got outvoted by me and my mum, and we're gonna go with diamonds because even though it's a lot more work, it really looks the best. So I'm gonna get started on marking up all of my lines, and I'll meet you guys back here when it's time to sew. So it actually took me an embarrassingly long time to figure out that these 4 centimeter lines that I was marking were pointless because my ruler is 4 centimeters wide. I should have just used that. I might actually be able to get my fiance to watch this video because he is very supportive, but he's not that interested in sewing. But the boobs are boobing, and that might actually engage him. I want to watch Winona. Let's go to Tubi. I don't know about you, but does anybody else have comfort shows? Like, you just rewatch stuff for the hell of it? Like, I love my comfort shows. That took a while. So I think it was an hour and a half. Now we just need to quilt, which is probably going to be another very long endeavor. So I'm gonna throw this on like a time lapse, speed it up. It's very important that you don't try and steal my pins, okay, buddy? No stealing, no stealing mummy's stuff. All right, I'm starting my quilting at 4:05. Let's see how long this takes. It is now 5:20 and I'm halfway through the quilting. So I'm going to take a break, get dinner organised for the family, and then get into my PJs and come back and finish this a bit later. I'll see you guys then. We've hit the point of the night where comfort is way more important than my clothing right now. So we're back to sewing in PJs, which is pretty normal on this channel. I got halfway through my quilting. I think it took me about an hour and a half to do half the quilting. Fingers crossed I can get the rest of this done fairly quickly. I'm gonna throw my show back on and keep going. Okay, now I'm up to the last couple of lines of quilting. I'm almost done. Done. Quilting is done, so now I'm trying to decide if I do my bias tape or if I quit for the night and start editing, because can I be bothered? I mean, I'm gonna take my makeup off, like that's happening. It's annoying me. But do I keep working? I guess we'll find out. Alright, so I just went back and watched my tutorial for how to do the continuous bias tape again. And I'm just gonna do as big of a square as I possibly can get. Alright, we have a square. Once we have our square, we can cut diagonally on the 45-degree angle across the middle, and then we have our 2 triangles. Once we have 2 triangles, we can flip the bottom one, line it up with the other triangle so that one is layered on top of the other, and then we stitch at a 1/4 inch seam allowance up that side. Once we've pressed that seam open, we then have our parallelogram. And once we've got our parallelogram, we just draw our lines, which will be our cutting once we've stitched the 2 sides together. Alright, so now that I've pressed my seam, I'm just measuring out my lines. I am doing 4 centimeter thick bias binding. 2 reasons. It should be thick enough for what I want. My ruler is also 4 centimeters thick, and it means I don't have to measure once I've done that first line. So we're just going to do this the entire way up on all of my 4 rhombuses. Are they rhombuses? I think they're a rhombus. Hey Google, what is a rhombus?
According to Wikipedia, in geometry, a rhombus is an equilateral quadrilateral, a quadrilateral whose 4 sides all have the same length.
Okay, Google just informed me that this is actually a parallelogram. So this is a little bit awkward to do, but you want to line up your lines, offsetting it slightly, and then pinning it and stitching so that it's like a 1/4 inch seam allowance. And where you're stitching that seam allowance, those 2 lines should be meeting at either side. It is really tricky to do, but it does give you that continuous bias tape. Afternoon. Yes, we're still in PJs. This is a PJ household. We do PJs unless we specifically have to get dressed. I have a friend helping me out because she is awake and I want to get stuff done. So we are going to start by trimming the extra batting off all of these, and then I'm going to cut the pieces down to the correct size all in one. I will put a new rotary blade on because that's going to be a little bit of a mission to get through that many layers. And then theoretically, once I've cut each piece with the front and backing to the size that I want, I can just immediately pin them together so that they're secured. And then I'll do a very tiny tiny seam allowance stitch to baste them together before I put the binding on. We have this big roll of binding that I did the other night. It is now Tuesday. The last time I worked on this was Sunday. I only did one of my squares for the binding. I'm hoping it's enough for at least the placemats. Otherwise, I'll just make up some more, but I've got more Christmas projects to do, so all of that binding will essentially get made up eventually. It's ready to go. It just needs to be stitched the last length and then cut into strips and ironed. So we're doing good. But anyway, we've got Teddy helping us out today, so I'm gonna get to trimming this down and then cut my pieces, and we're almost done. Like, this is not a very intensive project aside from making the bias binding. What I am doing here is trimming down my batting so that I have a very even surface to line up with the underneath piece. That way I can cut it all at once and I don't have to muck around with cutting each piece separately and then lining them up. Right. My helper has gone back to being just very cute in the other room. So I've trimmed my long piece in half, and then I'm going to layer it with this piece. I feel like I should probably iron them both. That might be a good idea. BRB. So I have trimmed. So what I might do is I might take 2 inches off this side and 1 inch off this side. That way I'll have very straight up here, and then I might be able to get away with only taking 1 centimeter off the top and bottom. I think that's the go. I need my rulers. Behind me. No, you can't. So we're just gonna baste all of these down. I should probably plug my presser foot in. I should probably plug the machine in. Jesus. There's a naked baby on the loose.
There is a naked baby on the loose.
It works. So the reason that I have so much time to sew recently is because we now have a system where we take turns. So we used to just get really annoyed because neither one of us had time to actually work on our hobbies. Because, you know, parenting, it's hard. And at the start of October, we ended up setting up a system where 3 times a week we get 4 hours of absolute interruption-free adult time to do whatever the heck we want to do, which is lovely. It's predictable. We obviously have like guidelines and rules that we stick to. Some of us better than others. He's getting defensive from the other room. But it works really well. Like, we've found that I get time to do my sewing and work on my YouTube, which I haven't really done much of for a very long time. And he gets time to do his computer projects and things. Highly recommend, if you're in the trenches with young children, like having a setup, if it's possible for you to do so, where you both get a set amount of nights each week to just do your own thing and sort of regain some of that like human element of your life. Because I find after having this my 3rd time in the infant stage, you really end up losing yourself through parts of it. So it's nice. I feel like me again. And I'm getting cool stuff out of it. And I also get to hang out with all of you guys, like all 19 of you. It's great. Hey, buddy. I ran out of bobbin. So now we have to wind that. Whoa, whoa, whoa. I'm not even going to begin to try and explain how I did the binding on these placemats, because I used 3 or 4 different methods. I can't remember how many, but every single one of them was a pain in my backside, and you would be able to find a better tutorial elsewhere. But just know that I struggled. It was a mission. It's slightly dodgy. I mean, you won't be able to tell unless I point it out to you, I think. So they turned out fine, but maybe don't do as I do. All right, I did get most of them done. So they've now got binding on them. Don't look at my corners. The corners are really dodgy. There is some hand stitching I'm gonna have to do to touch them up. And I did run out of binding before I could do the last one, so I've got that made up ready for tomorrow now. But it's getting late and I need to shower, so I'm gonna go do that and then go to bed and probably finish the last one up tomorrow. I have the tripod set up right next to the baby and she's kicking her leg, which is why it's rocking right now. So let me just see if I can fix that. I think I'm a little bit crooked, but you know what? That's the vibe we're going with today. Nothing has been good. I have been feeling really off since I woke up. But they're done. My placemats are done and I am very, very happy with them. As long as you don't look too closely at the corners. My binding skills, very dodgy. But we have 5 beautiful placemats. 4 of them have the binding going this way, and then when I made the binding, because I ran out, I realized that I cut the squares of the second lot of binding in a completely different way. So most of them are like vertical, this one's horizontal. It is what it is. I also tried like 3 different methods of binding the placemats. None of them were particularly successful, which is why I said don't look too closely at the corners or the backs, because like the stitching on top is actually pretty okay, but I missed so many places on the back that I had to go through and hand stitch, and that's what I spent my night doing last night. So cozy night with the TV and hand stitching was fine. And then I've just thrown them through the wash to get all the pen markings off them, and they're looking cute. They just need a bit of an iron now, and then they're ready to hand to my mum, and I'll do the ones for the rest of the set when I can get to Spotlight. But we're pretty happy with our project this week, and now I'm trying to figure out what project I'm going to do following this, because after quilting all of these, I don't want to make that giant Christmas bow anymore, because no. Given how much issue I had with binding these, I don't want to do that much binding. So I think that's going to be a next year Christmas project now, and this year we're done. I might get some fabric and make a Christmas dress or something, who knows. But that's a problem for another day. This is where I'm going to leave this video. So if you enjoyed it, please give the video a like. It really helps out the channel with growth and everything, because you know, we are new here. Not many people know about us, and I think I have something valuable to offer. So if you see that in these videos and you enjoy them, just give it a like. It really helps out. If you haven't subscribed and you're having fun, go ahead and do that too. Love to have you here. It's like having my own little friends online, which is really odd, but you know, it's kind of nice. Who doesn't love a good sewing buddy? And I'll see you guys next week, hopefully feeling better, because I'm always sick. I have 3 kids. The germs just go round and around and around and around. So usually I get like a week in between colds. I'm gonna go and edit this so that I can get it up for you guys. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If it inspired you to make your own Christmas placemats, please tag me. I would love to see them. And yeah, in all, it was a pretty good sewing project. Good vibes, had fun doing it. I don't want to quilt again for a while though, thank you. I'll see you guys next week. Bye bye.